Hey everybody, welcome to episode 11 of the AskDAP show, where we answer your Volkswagen and Audi questions. Let's get into the show.
First of all, thank you for your videos. I really enjoyed them and they are really helpful. I have a 2015 Mark 7 GTI. VW will start putting their MIB2 infotainment system on their 2016 models. Some of them are already in dealerships now, like the Tiguan and Golf R. I'm wondering if there's a way to install a new system on my 2015 GTI.
Okay, so MIB2 radio he's referring to is coming on 2016 models. It has the addition of CarPlay, which is an app that integrates your smartphone into the radio of the vehicle. It's pretty cool stuff. Good for nav, playing music, blah, 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 all that stuff. Good stuff. Retrofitting, that's going to be a tough challenge. We did look at some VIN numbers of those vehicles to identify the parts or what was different about the two. And here's where it gets complicated. So the Mark 7 has the radio itself is not just the radio in the dash like a lot of cars. The display unit in the dash is separate from the brain of the radio, which is in the glove box. On those models, the part numbers are different. So the unit in the glove box is different, as well as the display unit itself. The question, there's a lot of questions revolving around this, but number one is we might be able to reuse the original display unit with that new, just upgraded brain. We also might need wiring to go from that display unit to that new MIB2. We also might need a whole new display unit with wiring and the actual MIB2 unit in the glove box, or some variation of that. Now, we're pretty certain that regardless of whatever you choose, it's going to require pretty significant coding, which someone's going to have to figure out and track down exactly what's going on. Someone will likely do that at some point, but the biggest barrier to this whole situation is the cost. Now, we looked up the unit in the glove box is around $2,000. The display unit is about $700 to $800. So if you need both of those, excluding any other parts required to execute that, you're looking at $2,800. Now, that doesn't even bring into account if there's any other parts required or anything else associated with figuring that out. Now, if you're going to do the labor yourself, obviously that's going to be your parts cost. If you're not doing the labor yourself, now you're going to have to pay somebody to figure out how to do all this stuff. Because of all those scenarios, this is not something that we're working on, because we believe that this is going to be something that very few people are going to be interested in, just based on the overall cost of executing this. Now, likely at some point there will be some sort of cost. It will drive down the cost a little bit to make this a little bit more affordable, but I don't suspect this will probably ever cost less than $200 to $2,500 to do, which is why something that, we just don't see it to be a viable retrofit for most people.
Clymer Anderson left a comment on our YouTube about the Deflategate video. With something like this that will essentially detune my TDI 2015 Passat, do we have to get the recall if they come out with it? Is that even an option to pass on? I'm sure the last thing we all want is to have the reason we love our TDIs taken away. How do you think this will affect resale value?
So for anybody who's not familiar with what he's referring to, yesterday we put out a video on Dieselgate. We'll put a link to that here and also in the description below. Dieselgate basically talked about a scandal about TDI software. What we believe is going to be one of the resolutions of Dieselgate for the vehicles affected is going to be a software update that we believe will likely affect performance and fuel mileage. Now, as he mentioned, most TDI people, one of the reasons why they own their TDI is because of fuel mileage, and nobody wants that adversely affected. Can you opt out? That is a question that we don't really have the answer to. I have my suspicions about how I feel about it. I think it's probably something you might be able to avoid if you were to not have the recall done. I'm not certain if they have any way to actually execute requiring you to do so, because the only way that I could think of that would actually make you and force you to do it would be to not allow you to re-register your vehicle and get it inspected. until that recall is done. Now, that's really complicated because some states don't require actual inspections the same way as they do here locally, where they have to actually plug your vehicle in, enter the VIN number, all those details. That would be probably pretty easy or fairly easy for them to actually block you from getting your vehicle registered without getting it done. Now, in other states, I don't believe that's how the process works, so actually doing that and stopping you from continuing with an open recall is probably pretty challenging. So most likely the answer is no, but I don't really know. In terms of resale value on TDIs, most likely it's possible temporarily for a short time there will be a slight increase in the market on TDI cars. That's mostly because there's a stop sale on all TDIs from 2009 to 2015 from VW dealers that includes new and used cars. And they mentioned CPO. I don't know if maybe non-CPO cars can then be sold by dealers. I'm not sure exactly the details on that. I would say it's very unlikely to affect it much because, number one, fuel cost is not that high. If fuel cost was very high like it has been in the past, it would probably crank TDI cost up even further because there'd be limited supply and high demand. All great news for resale. It could potentially drop it a little bit, the resale value, and that's possibly because of just buyers being scared off by this whole scandal. Seems unlikely, but it's possible. But I think we'll see in the coming weeks what happens with that.
Boris on Facebook has a high-pitched noise when the car is parked and he puts the clutch in. He has 7,500 miles on his 2015 GTI.
Boris, so I actually got some information from Boris about this, just a little more context on the situation. I did let him know I believe this situation to be a throwout bearing, and what the throwout bearing does is essentially when you push on the clutch pedal, it is a bearing that allows the clutch, everything to continue to spin while the transmission is engaging and disengaging the clutch. What will happen is, as that's spinning, if the bearing has any issues, it will make noise. Most likely that's what the problem is. Easiest way to always tell if you have a throwout bearing issue is going to be if you depress the clutch and the noise changes or goes away. Generally you can assume that it's something in that rotating assembly, and most likely the throwout bearing is going to be the cause. Now, another concern that he had was the warranty and if it was going to be covered. Now, his car is obviously pretty new, 7,500 miles. He had a concern that clutch was considered a wear item and it wouldn't be covered under warranty, which is true. Clutches are considered a wear item, and any wear item has a 1-year, 12,000 mile warranty. Now, since the throwout bearing is, in my opinion, not considered a part of that wear item assembly, it would be covered during the bumper-to-bumper warranty and shouldn't be an issue pretty much no matter how long your time frame goes. If you do have any clutch problems that do wear out within that 12,000 mile time frame, usually what will happen is you'll get one replacement covered under warranty. If you do wear another clutch during that time, you will likely not have the second one covered because it's very likely to be related due to operator error, and they wouldn't cover the second one. So in this situation, should be covered under warranty. Sounds like a throwout bearing, very likely, and that should be your problem. Thank you for watching episode 11 of the AskDAP show. If you want your question answered on the show, be sure to shoot us an email, info@shopdap.com.